My first business and what turned out to be a total disaster. So I'd like to tell a story about that just for you to let you know how that unfolded and what occurred during that time. This is me at 70 looking back at it. My name's Jack DeRouche. I welcome you to the channel and thanks for watching. So I go back to a time I was 35 years old. And I'm not sure, but I think most men at 35 seem to look at their life and reassess where they are. So I had my own house, I owned that, I owned my car, I had money in the bank, I had two beautiful children. I mean, really, life should have been good, but for me, I just looked at it and said, is this it? Is this it? No more challenge, this is it. So that led me on a path to starting my own business. So as that unfolded, I met a friend that I used to know when I went to school. We came up with this idea of a fully licensed pizza restaurant, and I lived in Melbourne and I was going to shift out to the country to open this pizza restaurant. Now the reason I went to the country was where we located a shop we thought we would buy. We actually had a client base of about 3,000 people. Now in Melbourne, there's no way I could get that. So we decided, yes, that's what we're going to do. So I moved down to Koroit was the name of the town. And originally I was going down there because I worked night shift and I was renovating a house that we were going to live in, and also started work on this shop, because it had nothing, no toilets, no power, no nothing. So really had to start from scratch. Anyway, that took months. So we finally got that done. Everyone moved down there. Everything looked good. And you need to understand one thing. My experience in making pizzas was zero. No experience. I think I worked in a friend's shop for one night. I cooked one pizza and I burnt that, and that was the extent of my pizza experience. Also, the pizza oven, we didn't finally get that connected till the night before we opened. I think back now and I think, how did I even keep going on with this? But I did, of course. So the night it finally opened, I remember I got out of my car with my daughter, my eldest daughter, 13-year-old Melissa. And we were walking to the shop and there's this line on the street going around the corner. Now, how I didn't realise that was to the shop, I don't know. But when I walked around the corner and I seen that they were waiting for me to open the shop, well, needless to say, yeah, I was excited, but talk about nervous. So anyway, we opened the shop, and one thing, I was always someone that was always thinking of something new to do. So I decided on the big menu board on the canopy over the pizza oven, I'd rename all the pizzas to landmarks around the countryside there. Brilliant idea. I thought, the customers will really like it. But when they started putting their orders in and saying, oh, I'll have a Koroit, I'll have a big burger down here, I'll have this, and I'm thinking, what are these things? I've got no idea. I'm used to Hawaiian, pepperoni. Luckily for me, behind the counter, I had a little breakdown of all the pizzas, what they were. So we got past that. I started cooking the pizzas, and then, of course, when you open the oven, they all look the same. And I'm thinking, shit, what am I going to do now? And my 13-year-old daughter, she just said to me, Dad, you keep moving them along through the oven like this. I'll take care of all the tickets. Job will be right. I go, yep, no worries, we'll do that. So we did that. We got through that night. I sold out of everything, and it was a big success. End result, after a few months in this business, I was making about $10,000 a week. It was a fully licensed pizza restaurant. So it was a total success. As time also went on, I realised that the partner that I had had no interest in the business. So we had set up two companies to protect each other. So I went ahead and bought him out. So that was fine. So again, continued on with the business. Then my accountant one day rang me up and said, "Oh, look, I need to see you." So I said, "Yeah, no problems." I went down to see him, and he said, "Look, these two companies you're running, they're costing a lot of money. You should just put the business in your own name." Now, to that point, this accountant had not done anything wrong. Every piece of advice he gave me was spot on. So I said, "Yeah, sure, you're the accountant, you know what's best. I'll go with what you say." Little did I know what was coming around the corner. It took about another 2 months, and these famous words that the Australian Prime Minister said: "Australia is in a recession, and it's a recession it has to have." So my business from $10,000 a week went to about $20 a week. So in the end, the story goes, really, I lost everything. I lost my house. I was now $250,000 in debt. I did sell the pizza shop, but that was subject to I wouldn't get paid the $250,000 until 12 months had passed. So I'm heading back to Melbourne. I've got two children, a wife that just spent every waking second telling me how everything was all my fault, that we lost everything, and I had about $300. So I spent the next year and a half, we're actually living with people. I was living in their bedroom with two kids. In the end, I rented a bungalow, which is just a small kitchen, bathroom, all in one, and a bedroom, off one of my mother's friends. And yeah, that was the most devastating time of my life. I just sat there and would constantly think I just took the future away from my children, and I couldn't feel any worse if I tried. So as time moved on, what did I start to realise out of all this? Well, the first thing that happened was I just hated money. Money I just attached to just grief. So I had this burning hate for money. Money just brought me nothing. And I think back at the time when I had nothing, I'd lost everything. Didn't have anything, no house, just a car. I just had some of the happiest times I've ever had in my life. I couldn't believe it. And then just to put another nail in the coffin, I guess through all that stress and through all that pressure, I woke up one night out of bed screaming, and apparently I just flopped back down on the bed. I'd repeated this 3 times. My poor children, they thought that I'd died. And anyway, I found out that now I'm lucky enough that I fell in the 1% of people in Australia that get epilepsy over 35. So that was another bonus. But finally, after 10 years, I was back in my own house, owned my own house. And one thing I can tell you, whatever happens in life, you just never give up. If you've watched my channel, I spoke about how I lost a son to cot death. In my mind, I really thought this is nothing compared to that. Nothing. Even though there was times I would sit at home and I'd be crying. I'd sit on the bed crying. I was working, I got a job, I was paying a house off again, but I was crying that I just believed that I took the future away from my kids. And I remember my wife coming in, so compassionate that she was, and said, "You're nothing but a sook." And I just thought, well, thanks. There's, the appreciation was just endless, but that only made me stronger. I knew then that I was going to live my life for my children. And I did. I looked after my children. I made sure that they were right, their future was bright, and I did everything I could. Like I said, in business, in life, you get hit with things that you don't know where they come from. Me, in a way, I did punish myself from the business I had, because blaming myself. But you learn in life there's some things that you can't control. You've got no control over them. But I would say for many years I did. I blamed myself. I thought I was a failure. My wife had a classic statement that she would tell me constantly, that you're no good, you'll never be any good, and you never were any good. And I listened to that statement for about 25 years till, yep, you guessed it, in the end you start believing it. But that's another story. But what I can tell you is that at 70, looking back through my eyes, I see the truth, I was valiant in what I did. There was nothing wrong with what I did, and things happened that were out of my control that I just couldn't fix. But if I think when the business first started, it was a success. So I shouldn't feel shame or anything about that. But to the younger people, when you've got an idea and you believe in something, you go for it. But you've got to realise one thing: when you start a business like I did, you have to live, eat and breathe that business. It has to become your life, because it's a part of you. And if you do that, you are on the road to success, no matter what happens. So I'd like to end this video on that note, just to let you know that, yes, I had a business that was a total disaster. It never broke me. I've still got a smile on my face. And at 70, doing these YouTube videos, making me relive my past, is actually more helpful to me than to you at this point. But I thank you for listening. And if you've got any comments where you might have had a business and similar things happen to you, please let me know, because I do like giving feedback to people, and I like problems, I like issues. So once again, I thank you for watching. Please subscribe to the channel. Again, I don't edit anything. I just think I want to be honest, open, and just be Jack. Mistakes and all. So I'm not going to try and use any gimmicks at all. Again, I thank you for watching. Please subscribe and see you next time. Remember, stay safe, take care, Jack.